Hello, namaste. This is Tim Halloran with a weekly astrological forecast. This is for the second week of September 2014. I put these videos on YouTube once a week for free, so you can always support us, help us get the ball rolling. We very much are still in this phase by sharing this video around with your friends and beloveds or purchasing a reading from me at the link below. So we're talking about the week following the full moon in Pisces conjunct Chiron. And this full moon, which was Monday, has really shaken up the collective. I mean, in my previous video, I just spent a straight 25 minutes talking about nothing but Chiron because it is so deep, it is so profound, the ramifications are so wide that it is very tangible. I mean, we can really feel this in a deep part of ourselves, and we can feel still very shaken up. And this can sort of take us through, especially the beginning of this week, as we are shaken up. We're still dealing with this very much explosive crumbling that is the Chironic breaking apart, and there can be tragedy, and there can be falling apart, and there can be breakups, and there's major transitions that are happening to make room for the new, to allow new patterns to come in. So we can also start to feel this medicine start to seep back into the collective. And that's what we're going to be talking about, is this transition that's happening now, following the storm, following the tragedy, following this crumbling apart. What happens? Okay, so I heard from so many people around the time of this full moon. I mean, people were freaking out. There was this explosion. There was deep emotional purging. So we're going down into the underworld and digging up all these insecurities, these fears, these childhood conditionings that go way far back, that go into past lives that are just very, very deep. And now today we have Venus opposing Neptune, and we have Mercury forming a conjunction with the asteroid Pallas Athena in Libra. And what happens after that tragedy, after that crumbling apart, after that emotional release, that emotional breakdown, is there is this spaciousness. There's the wake following the storm. And it can almost feel inconceivable, like, where am I? What is going on? I'm still okay. Life is still going on, but what is this new feeling now? What is this new feeling that I am so unfamiliar with? I was not feeling this at all in the past, you know, dealing with all this stuff, and then everything crumbled, everything blew over. The tragedy happened, the breakup happened, the transition happened. And it was the end of the world, it was the apocalypse. And then what happens after? This is inconceivable. This doesn't even make sense. What can even happen after the ending of something? We have this spaciousness. We have this ability to breathe, and we can breathe in deeply. And there's this lightness that is starting to come in. This medicine is starting to trickle in. It is very, very interesting. And the analogy that I want to use is, you know, if we're thinking about, you know, for example, in the United States of America, this is a considerably apathetic nation, where we don't really come together all that often. We don't really wear our hearts on our sleeve. There's not too many, you know, just openly, abundantly compassionate people, apart from, you know, the pockets that are there that we all cling to, right, when we're trying to develop this stuff, okay? But in general, when do we see the entire collective come together and be warm together and feed each other and love each other and these kind of things? When does this ever happen? It tends to usually happen following tragedy. Okay, the last time I really remember this happening as a nation was September 11th. I mean, this is getting into conspiracy stuff, like why do we want to get together and all of this, okay? But, you know, this is how this stuff really works, okay? And what I'm saying is, like, what this is getting to is this new feeling that is coming back in following the tragedy, following the crumbling, following the loss, the transition, the unexpected occurrence, okay? That can be met with a lot of emotion, a lot of emotional purging. There is a genuine movement now. There is a sincere movement now to reach out towards others, to be compassionate towards others, to regroup and familiarize ourselves and extend our love and compassion to others. But what is so unusual and so, you know, inconceivable about this feeling, it is genuine. It is sincere. How often do we truly have the genuine and sincere feeling to truly open ourselves up? Okay? It usually doesn't happen until we get totally torn down. Alright? And this is why Chiron is grace. because that tearing down is allowing us to open ourselves up to new possibility and open ourselves up to genuine compassion and sincerity. Okay? So what's also happening this next weekend, and I see this being this movement, you know, there's the crash and burn, the emotional purge, and then the wake. And then what's coming out of this wake? What's coming out of this new feeling? We have Mars moving from Scorpio into Sagittarius this weekend. Desires are extremely important. Everything is really about desires. Everything in nature is actually ruled by desires. It is said that Mother Nature herself is simply the personification and the personality of desire, and she takes charge over the desires of her children, okay? And whatever we desire, we do get, all right? And that's why I said it's unusual to have sincere and genuine desire for compassion and love, all right? So oftentimes we think that we are compassionate, we think that we're loving, we think that we're striving for perfection and spirituality and cleaning our heart and all these things. But it's not 100% genuine, all right? We're chasing after the future. We're chasing after, oh, I want myself to appear this way. In the future, I want to be a good person. In the future, I want to be like a yogi. I want to be a spiritual person, all right? I want to, you know, I want to be that person for other people. I want to, you know, all these things. All these desires come up. And it ends up not being genuine compassion and self-service in these things. It takes getting torn down and taken really to our center of our being in order to tap into that genuine nature. All right, we really have to stick with it too. I mean, this is the other thing, is with all this Chiron stuff, you have to go down with the ship. You have to be with the tragedy to open yourself up to genuine love and compassion. All right, the people that go to Africa and are in the hellhole there and are feeding the children, think about how much genuine compassion they have as compared to everybody else that's just complaining about it. Oh yeah, we complain about it, but we don't do anything about it because we don't have the genuine desire to do anything about it. Yeah, we have that desire, but maybe it's underneath a blanket of so many more desires. My job, my paycheck, my girlfriend, my act, okay? So what happens is if we stick with it and we go all the way down and we see the tragedy and we see this world, we open up to compassion and genuine desire to help people selflessly, automatically, all right? But what's happened with so much of this Chiron stuff is people actually want to run away with it. When things get dirty and sticky and tough and difficult, we don't want to stick with it, all right? We don't want to go all the way down with the sinking ship. And we do have to keep this in balance. I mean, we have to, you know, take what we can handle. I mean, this is not masochism. This is really not what it is. It's having genuine desire to go down and figure out everything, 100%, all of the spectrum. We don't want to avoid everything. So when Spirit calls us up, we go up. When Spirit calls us down, we go down. And if we get in sync with the rhythm and the dance of the universe, we find ourselves going in sync perfectly. So we know when to go down and we know when to come up, in such a way that we can always be developing our own selfless service, always be opening our heart, which means going up and down. If you want to keep opening your heart to genuine compassion and love, you have to go back up and down, up and down. When someone else is suffering, you go down with them. This is what's happening now with this full moon. So many people have been going down. Other people are going to those people, going down with them out of genuine love and compassion. It is opening us up for all of this collective reunification, all right? And setting of new goals, and setting of new priorities, and setting new cycles. All this old stuff is breaking apart and disintegrating. And we are seeing, it's being exposed to us, our genuine desires. If we go down, if we're willing to see them, if we're willing to see that those desires are even truly in the core of our being, all right? And it's uncomfortable to see them sometimes, okay? But with Mars moving from Scorpio to Sag, it's like we're getting out of that darkness. You know, Mars for the last 2 months has been taking us down into our desires, into our human affairs, into karma and stickiness and messiness and, you know, sex and desire and, you know, what my individual wants and power, you know, standing out, all of these things. And now the crumbling, the falling away, the tragedy, and then Mars moves right into Sag. I desire the truth. I desire what's the essence. I desire what is underneath even all of these human, karmic, really deep desires. It keeps going, all right? This gets really profound, you know. We can even say that, like, the whole blanket of Maya, all right? The whole, eternal cycle of birth and death, birth and death, birth and death is driven by Scorpio desire. I desire sex. I desire to be this person. I desire this power. I desire this incarnation. I desire this possession, is what keeps the cycle of birth and death going and going and going and going. But beneath that blanket of Maya is our true spiritual desires, which is I desire love. I desire compassion. I desire to embrace and be embraced by every single thing in creation, because I am made in its likeness, is beneath that veil of Maya. Okay, so Mars moving from Scorpio into Sagittarius, and that cusp that is the Scorpio-Sag cusp is mastery. I have plummeted into my desires, my personal desires, what I want in my incarnation, my power, my individuality, and I found by going all the way down, and going down with the full moon and crumbling and breaking open to the collective, to all these negative habits, emotions, thoughts that I can have, and I take it down to the rocks and it smashes open and I pierce that veil and I gain entrance to my true desires. Okay? This is a lot of what Tantra is, but a lot of people don't know how to do Tantra in such a way where it's not just swimming around forever and ever in Scorpio. You do Tantra to swim around in Scorpio until you get so fed up and so wound up that it breaks and you plummet into the ocean of spiritual compassion and bliss. Okay? So what's happening with these asteroids? Vesta conjunct Saturn. Juno square the moon's nodes. Juno square the moon's nodes is what is the missing link right now is genuine partnership. Genuine relationship. I exist here for you. The truth is I would rather be uplifted by the upliftment of others by helping them. You don't receive any more positivity or any more upliftment than you do through helping souls, especially souls that are stuck, especially souls that are fallen. You cannot receive any more joy or bliss or upliftment than through helping those people, okay? So what is awakening through all of this, this entire 2-month process, this full moon that was the crumbling people going down, tragedy happening, is we are realizing the genuine desire that this is the fact. We're not just going to church because it's a good person going to church, all right? What does this have to do with this? We are going out and we're tapping into our spiritual selfless position and we're helping other people because it's genuinely what we want to do. And we learn that that genuine desire is there through experience, through going through the cycles, okay? Get lost in your selfish desires for a while. See how it makes you feel. It's going to make you feel like shit at the end of the day. And so many people get lost and then they get frozen there and remain there for lifetimes, okay? But then the tragedy happens, breakdown happens, someone goes in there, pulls somebody out, and we see what the real desires are, okay? We see that we actually want to exist communally, collectively. We want to serve one another. If I serve you and you serve me, that means that I get the higher joy and upliftment of serving you. That's feeding myself when I am serving you. It really is. I'm not focused on feeding myself. I'm focused on feeding you, but I am feeding myself more so than I ever could. All right? And then you meet your beloved, your soul partner, your twin flame, and they're doing the exact same thing for you. This is what heaven is. Heaven is a potential that is here. We just haven't realized our true desire to get there yet. We're in the process of it. We're in the process of disintegrating all of these egoic conditional loves, you can say. Conditional love. It's not real love, all right? When you love somebody but then they don't do something back for you, that's not real love. So we go through all our conditional loves. We act out all those things, all my desires. I want you to do this. I want you to do this. And then it sucks. We get stuck there. We feel unhappy. We get bitter. Then there's the breakdown, the crumbling. Things don't go exactly the way we wanted to, and it's all just worthless. All our self-doubts come out. It's all worthless. I can't get what I want. Blah, 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 blah. Tragedy happens. Breakdown happens. And then we find exactly what we actually want, which is, I don't want any of those things. I want to exist in such a way where I am free from the bondages of my desires, except for my desire to serve others, because guess what? That desire, you will always be able to find plenty of facets to fulfill that one. I mean, if your desire is to help other people in this day and age, you are made. You're made. I mean, you have such an abundance of stuff coming into you and coming into you and coming into you. You're just going to keep growing and growing and growing. So let's let this happen. Let this natural process happen. This spaciousness that we're in right now, following the full moon, the tragedy, the crumbling, let's just breathe it in. Sit in it. You know, it's such a natural tendency for us in this day and age when that peacefulness and that steadiness finally comes in. We say, oh yeah, I feel good. Let's do this and this and this, and now I'm going to have fun with my friends. We're going to go out and I'm going to do this and this. And we just fill up that space and bliss with the abundance of chores and things we want to do and all that stuff. Just slow down, you know. Allow yourself to, you know, recollect a little bit this week, all right? And then next week we got the half moon Monday. A week from then we're going to have a new moon in Libra. New moon in Libra is we're planting the seeds for a collective movement. New relationships, new beginnings, new communities, new friend groups, new places that we're hanging out. All of this is coming down. It's being showered down on us in the wake of this storm, okay? I mean, this is great stuff to tap into. This energy that's coming in is really great stuff to tap into. So don't be forceful. Don't do it the old way. Don't reset your selfish desires that you just eliminated. Breathe in the spaciousness that follows the crumbling, all right? And what happens is if you actually sit in that spaciousness and you don't let your mind and the past, see, as soon as your mind gets involved, it starts going to past. Oh, I've done this before, so I'm going to do this again. If we can just sit in the spaciousness, what's going to happen is that spontaneous desire from the core of our being, from our hearts, will arise from it, all right? We won't want to do things the old way. There's going to be something new that happens. We're going to realize that we can do stuff that we didn't realize we could do before. And that's because we're realizing that we are different than we were before. We have a totally new desire system. Once your desire system changes, your value system changes, your relationships change, okay? So what's happening now on a mass scale level is there's this huge shift that's going on in the collective. And people are changing. People are evolving. People are going up to the next rung. So be prepared to take that step. Let it happen automatically. The genuine desire to serve and have compassion for others is not a forced desire. You cannot go out and say, I'm going to be a compassionate person today. I'm going to go feed the poor, you know, because I feel like I'm a good person for feeding the poor. It just comes from a place that isn't that genuine compassion. Rather, when you pass a poor person on the street, you have a spontaneous urge to help them. It's very, very different. That is allowing the universe to carry you where you need to go, rather than manipulating the universe where you think the universe needs to take you in order to be a good person. They're very, very different. One is tapping into your inconceivable nature, all right, that is beyond the veil of Maya, beyond the veil of birth and suffering and, you know, all these selfish desires and just reproducing and power and all of these things. You tap into this inconceivable, spacious nature that lies underneath it, okay? And then you just get carried around. There's no hard work that you're doing. You're just going where you're drifted and you're allowing the spontaneous desires to come out of that spaciousness, and then you respect those desires. Okay, because we're no longer listening to the desires that were implanted by mom and dad, the childhood, the school system, the government. We break that stuff down. We recollect, we get into the spaciousness, and then from that spaciousness, from your heart, comes the silent voice, that whisper, that is who you truly are, that is the message of God. So let's get really deep into it. Clear out some space. The moon's going to be in Taurus this weekend. Hermit a little bit, you know, light some candles, read some good, you know, books that are going to tap you into philosophy, truth, all these things that we're going. Mars is, we're heading that way. We're going to put our willpower into serving truth, philosophy, these things. So let's just allow this stuff to carry us there naturally and automatically. Not fight against the grain, not fight against the grain going back into the past. And I think that we will be amazed with the medicine that is coming about into the collective at this time. All right? So I'm wishing you the best. You can get in touch with me if you'd like to schedule an astrology reading. We have several eclipses a couple eclipses coming in October that we can take a look at. This transformation that's happening now that is going so deep, it's carrying us through these next few months, so we can take a look at where this is individually playing out for you, where this drama is happening in your little sphere, in your little world, and then we can cross-examine that with the energy that's happening in the entire collective. All right? So let's get on with it. I'm wishing you the very best. Namaste.